Here with women's basketball head coach John Haskins previewing Wednesday evening's matchup in the Convocation Center in Aiken, South Carolina against USC Aiken. Coach, before we get into Wednesday evening's game, let's talk about the last game. The fourth game of a 5-game road trip. Shot the ball very well against Augusta, lost 72-61, but what did you see from your team in that game?
Well, first of all, I think the game was a little closer than that. You know, we've just gone through in the stretch with Georgia College, Columbus, and Augusta on the road. We just went through some stretches, particularly in the first half, where we struggled to score and we dug ourselves a hole. And we did it in the Columbus and Georgia College game, and we also did it Saturday down in Augusta and got down 14. Really fought back. I think we got it back to 4 about 3 times in the second half, but just either couldn't make a shot to get us over the hump or couldn't get a stop. We got some stops, and then they got some offensive rebounds. So shot it a little bit better, but you know, we had about a 6 or 8 minute stretch in the first half where we didn't score, and I think that's the difference between having a chance to win those games and losing those games.
I want to talk about a player on your team before we get into Aiken, Janice Monley. Last 2 or 3 games, come on real strong for you. Been a real key player for you.
Really played well against Belmont Abbey in the road win against Belmont Abbey. We got her touches, and she finished around the basket and was very good. On the flip side of that, against Augusta, she struggled, and I think one of the reasons she struggled, she got a little bit of knee issues with tendonitis, and just didn't have the same lift that she had against Belmont Abbey, so she struggled a little bit. But you look at our statistics, percentage-wise, she's putting the ball in the hole as well as anybody for us, and I think we've got to count on her and rely on her to score inside.
Let's talk about USC Aiken, 5-8 overall, 0-4 in the conference. Kind of similar records to what UNCP will bring in on a Wednesday evening. What do you know about USC Aiken? What kind of challenges will they present?
First of all, record very deceiving, I think, in terms of they play a great non-conference schedule, number one. And I think number two, they've had an injury, a key injury to one of the leading scorers, to Emily Torres, tore ACL, so she's out for the season, which has set them back, and I think they're still adjusting to not having her in the lineup. And the third thing, I think, they go to Georgia College and they lose by 2. I think they go to Armstrong and lose by 2. They lost by 2 in overtime last night at Flagler. So, they're a very competitive team, very skilled team, shoot the ball well. They're just hard to guard, and then they're very solid defensively. So it's always usually those games against them are very close. I think last year the tip-in at the buzzer beat us by 1, and then down there it was a 53-all game inside of a minute, and I think they scored the last 4 or 6 points of the game. So usually very competitive games, and I don't expect anything less tomorrow.
We're here with men's basketball head coach Ben Miller previewing Wednesday evening's matchup on the road at USC Aiken, a 7:30 p.m. matchup inside the Convocation Center. Coach, before we preview Wednesday's game, let's talk about Saturday's loss at Augusta. You were able to come back from a 26-point deficit in the first half to tie the game with a minute left, but unfortunately fell victim to a couple late baskets in the 73-72 loss. What have you learned about your team over the last 3 or 4 games?
Well, we're still a work in progress. We've had some challenges along the way, and guys really fought and made a comeback. I know our guys are going to continue to fight, and we had chances down the stretch, and they made a couple more plays than we did.
You've had some pretty solid outings from Brandon Watts over the last 6 or 7 games since Quamaine Rose went down with an injury. Has he become the guy that has emerged as one of your on-the-court leaders now, or have you seen some other guys step up as well?
It's a group effort. Brandon obviously is very talented, and he's only a sophomore, a relatively young player, but plays a huge role on our team. And I think his leadership is starting to grow, along with guys like Jihad Wright, Winford, Alex Bradley. We got a group effort there with our leadership.
What can you tell us about USC Aiken and the rivalry that's developed since you took over the program?
Well, we've had great games with them every year, regular season, even in the conference tournament. So I think we expect a great effort from them, and hopefully our guys will step up and give a great effort as well.
Good luck, Coach.
Thank you, Drew.